Happy New Year! And welcome to another episode of Chalkboard Chats. My name is Henry, and on this channel, we talk everything teaching and all in support of teachers. And I hope you all had a wonderful festive season, whatever you celebrated. What I've noticed around this time that has been so different for me, but I noticed it in the last couple of years, that I would dread the new year. And I would basically, there was a phase for, I don't know, like 4 years ago that I would just dread every Monday. I would dread the new year. I would dread the new week. On Sunday night, I would be like, oh, shit, I have to work again. And I associated work, like as soon as work came up or the thought I had to go to work or I was working, I associated with a lot of anxiety, a lot of frustration, and overall, I loved to complain about work. I love to complain about management, how incompetent they were. I love to complain about mostly management, the material that we had to work with, and me and my colleagues were complaining a lot about work. And I remember just that sensation popping up every week where it was like, oh, I have to go back to work. The time of not seeing students was over. I would measure my time off with how long I was without standing in front of the classroom because I didn't like it. And I was like, oh, yeah, 2 days, 2 days of no teaching. That's how I measured my free time. And it sucks. This really, really sucks to not like your job or to not enjoy it and to actually hate it and to hate on it. Really, really sucks because when you walk in with an attitude like, oh, I don't like this, you're not showing up as, that ray of sunshine that you can be. So you're attracting more of that morose, depressing attitude. So that is one. Number two, when you are convinced that your job isn't great, you collect more evidence. Your manager will come up to you and share maybe even good news, and you'll be like, "Ugh." And he's only sharing it now. He's sharing it too late, or he's not sharing it in the right way. Like, management can't do anything right when you are convinced they suck at their jobs. And the third reason why this is so annoying is that we assume, falsely assume, thank God, but we assume that the only way that this can change is when management changes, or that your student all of a sudden changes their behavior. And that then, because they've changed their behavior, now you'll feel less frustration, now you'll feel less anxiety, or whatever the negative emotions, the negative connotations that you have with work, they will show up less once everybody else is changing. And this is not true. We want it to be true, but think about it. Nobody else is going to change for us. We can make requests. We can be like, can you stop doing that? But they don't have to. They will continue. And if they've been doing like this, if they've been working like this, if management has been this bad all this time, you're basically, how would you say it? Throwing in your own glasses? No, what's the expression? If it's like they are consistent in this, don't be surprised that the next time you ask for help, they are still showing up the way they're showing up. So overall, this sucks. And the good news is we're doing it to ourselves, so we don't have to continue doing this. We're doing this to ourselves because the outside world does not affect us directly. It's not the movie that makes us feel a certain way. It is the thoughts we have about the movie or the thoughts that we have about our colleagues, our students, is what determines how we feel. And a very simple example is I can teach a class. My colleague can, stop hitting this, put it there. My colleague can teach the same class. I can walk away feeling drained and frustrated, and my colleague can walk away feeling, re-energized, rejuvenated. She's like, this is a great class. And I can be like, oh my God, this class is so challenging. There's so many difficult behaviors in this class. My colleague could be like, yeah, but behaviors, like difficult behavior is what teaching is. So I am getting challenged and I get to try all of these experiments. I get to show up as the best teacher that I can. I see it as like a mission to accomplish. Same class, different experience. Same with the movies. You have 5 people who go to the movies, they all watch the same movie, and you can have 5 different opinions about it. So it's not the outside world that is doing things to us, it is us doing things to us. Same with not liking your job or dreading your job. It is not the thing that is happening at work that makes you feel a certain way, it is the thoughts you have about them and about yourself and about the things you've done, the things you want to do, and the emotions that you have about the things you want to do that is causing how you feel. So, when you're dreading your job, make sure that you are aware of why. What is the story that you're telling yourself that causes you to feel dread? And with this, I usually say be very compassionate to yourself, but also be on to yourself. Because with this one, think about it. You are, let's say it's Sunday night, you are enjoying your free time, or at least this is the time to enjoy your time off. And what your brain is doing is basically rehashing things that make you feel dread or things that make you feel anxious, or it is repeating the situation that has you feel frustrated. And instead of being able to do something about it, we are just sitting at home having a quote unquote lovely Sunday night, feeling frustrated about something that is not in the present yet. Whatever you're imagining about work is somewhere in the future. Now, it's not even set in stone that this will happen, but let's take the example of the copy machine. I was going to say every season, no, every week, there's something about these copy machine, the printer. Literally, I walk into work a couple of days ago and I see everybody avoid the printer that is closest to us, and they're all walking towards the other printer. And I was like, what is happening to this printer? They said, just print and see. There's like half ink, half stripes. That's it. I was like, okay, great. Now, I can be frustrated about this copy machine. I can sit here on my free time at home thinking, what a ridiculous thing that we don't have a functioning copy machine. How hard is it? We send people to the fucking moon and we cannot have a functioning printer. What else? Now, the thing is that we tell ourselves these things and we feel very justified. We feel like, yeah, this school should have functioning printers. They should be able to afford a tech guy who can be there often enough so we can print. We need paper. And all of these reasons why make me feel very justified and makes me feel very righteous, which is great. But it's not solving the problem. If I let this printer dictate how I feel, then I will feel very, very annoyed and frustrated for a longer period of time, because guess what? That printer is not going to be fixed. And when it's going to be fixed, the other printer will fall apart. And when both of them are fixed, there will be something else. That is just the way of work at my center. I can rebel against it. I can negotiate and argue with the reality of it, or I can make it easy for myself and say, listen, I can function with bad printers. I am not that dependent on paper. I can be creative with my solutions. I can figure it out when technical stuff fails me, when technical things, which is, by the way, a fun thing to think in real life as well, outside of the classroom, When technology fails, I'll be fine. I really had to practice that one during lockdown because we got so dependent on, Zoom and video calls and all these things. And I was like, but if internet stops working or if my computer stops working, I will be okay. I am fine without technology. So if the printer is doing its weekly hiccups, I will be okay because I am not willing to be mad about something that reality just shoves in my face anyway. I'm not going to be frustrated about it. Life is hard enough. Teaching is hard enough. So I choose with a conscious mind to watch my thoughts around this printer. I am not willing to spend so much energy, waste so much energy on issues with a printer because I am not going to sit down with a printer and solve it. If it works, I use it. If it doesn't, I'll think of something else. Not a problem, no energy wasted, less frustration, and it's just overall a lot quieter up in here. So that is the dread that you can, right? That is the way that you can apply it to anything else that you are dreading. And don't let yourself sit and wallow in like frustration and anxiety and like the complaining. I sometimes think we're complaining a little bit too much. And it doesn't get us anywhere. If we're so frustrated by the way it is working, drop the complaining and get to work about changing. Because and especially in education, we often get this sense of somebody else has to solve these issues, but they don't. I've tried, I've asked, I have told them. That's their least favorite. But I have done all of the different ways to try to get other people to do and act differently. Doesn't work. So I'm giving up. Instead, what can I do? How can I change? How can I approach this in a different way that it doesn't give me any dread and it doesn't give me too much anxiety and frustration? Step one is a lot of acceptance. Doesn't mean that you agree with it, but it just means this is the reality. These are the cards that have been dealt, and this is what we're going to do with it. So if you're dreading the new week because you have big tests, give yourself a moment to think through the emotions that come with thinking about the tests. What does it mean for you? Does this really mean that you have to spend a lot of time doing admin? Is this an amazing opportunity to shrink your admin time, find out a lot of efficient ways to do it, and be better at it in the future so you dread less of it? Maybe you have some parent meetings coming up. Joyful. They are so joyful. Maybe they are super joyful. Maybe you get a new insight and a new insight into your student, new insight into their home life. And also you get to show up as the teacher. You get to be the person that their child interacts with, and they get a little bit of doses of themselves, which is an amazing experience. It's a little bit trippy for them. So give them space to be imperfect, show up as the teacher who you are, and show them how adulthood can be done, how parenthood can be done, how interacting with teachers can be done in a quote unquote adult way. Because you're the teacher, you show them. So when you're feeling the dread, when you are having all of this negative spin in your free time that has to do with work, give yourself I usually do it with like 20 minutes. 10 minutes can suffice. Sometimes it can be an hour, but spend some time with yourself and your emotions and your thoughts. I can highly recommend them to write them down because then you get to literally see. And with that, don't cast any other judgment over it. It's already one thing that you're experiencing this, that you're already thinking and having these thoughts, but don't cast any judgment because then we're stuck. They don't change if we judge it. So we have to come from a place of empathy, place of curiosity. What has you so worked up about work? And a couple of thoughts that have really served me were I don't have to love work. I always felt that, you have to really enjoy the work that you're doing. No, it pays the bills. Especially in hard times, it pays the bills. Do not get fired because I like food and I like a roof over my head. That is what I expect from my job. And it does not need to make me happy. It needs to it needs to challenge me in a way where I get to put all of me into it and make it better for me. Now, if I make it better for everybody else, that's amazing. That's an amazing benefit. But I don't ask that of my job. I want it to be challenging. I want it to pay me. And I don't want to worry about it too much outside of work. If I think about work in my free time, it is with inspiration. I have like a lot of paperwork here that has like random ideas for little activities and games and little arts and crafts. Where's my last art is I have to show you. Where is it? Where is it? I didn't put it up. My last art, it is so cute. Look at this. I made this and I'm going to see if I can incorporate this with present continuous. What are they doing? So yeah, that's when I think about work. That's what comes up for me. Random silly ideas, games that I want to adapt and change and experiment with. And when I think about work and it sends me into a tailspin of dread and frustration and anxiety, I give myself a couple of minutes to be with it. I'm like, hey, what is up? Why are we so frustrated? Why am I so angry? Or why am I dreading this day? What do I imagine is going to happen? And I really think through every scenario. I listen carefully and I take my own it's like end of the world. Oh my God, I'm going to die. It's very dramatic, but I take it seriously as in tell me all the things. How bad do you think it's going to be? And once I have calmed down and I have this list of all the things that I worry about, I get to one, breathe a second. I'm like, oh, it's not a strange thing that I feel this way. It's obvious now that I look at all the thoughts that I'm having and I put all the words into other people's mouths and I think I'm going to be fired or I think I'm going to get into a fight or I think I have to be called and being looking at the contracts and all the worries. Once I have that, I'm like, oh wait, now is it really this bad? And I kind of act as if it's somebody else writing all of these worries because for somebody else it's so easy. For us, for ourselves, it's really hard. But for somebody else, when I imagine these are all the worries for somebody else, it is so easy to come up with a solution with different ways of approaching it. And I calm down so fast. So no more dreads in your free time because your free time is yours. If there is any dread, feel it at work because then it's actually the time that you can do something about it. That was it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know in the comments below, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.